Have you ever tried really hard to love someone well, and yet you find that the relationship has become exhausting and you feel trapped, perhaps, or maybe even resentful? Well, today I want to bring a dose of reality to help you understand why that might be happening and how to change that relationship so it's more life-giving, or how to avoid those kind of relationships altogether when necessary. Hi everybody, this is Greg from Heart Tools, where we make it simple to build great relationships. And there's a relationship tightrope that we walk when we're trying, on the one hand, to empathize and validate someone's painful emotions and experiences, while at the same time we disapprove of their behavior. And in the last video, we talked about how we fall off that tightrope one way, in that we try to shut down the emotions in order to control the behavior, and why that doesn't work. And in this video, we're going to talk about the other way that we fall off the tightrope, and that is we so identify with and empathize with and validate the emotional pain that someone experienced that we ignore the unhealthy behavior choices that they're making. So if you identify with that snag, here are a couple key ideas that will help you to understand that even while you identify with and validate and empathize with someone's emotional pain, it is still a good thing to call out the behavioral choices they're making that are harming you or harming the relationship. The first key idea is this: you never have to choose between what is healthy for you and what is healthy for someone else. That's not the way relationships work. Now, there are times where you have to choose between what you want and what someone else wants. That's a different thing. You never have to choose between what's healthy for you and what's healthy for someone else. If it's healthy for you to set a boundary, it's healthy for someone else to be able to learn how to respect your boundary. If it's healthy for you to say, I don't allow people to be passive-aggressive with me. If you have a problem, just speak clearly. It's healthy for someone else to stop being a passive-aggressive and learning how to express their anger clearly and directly. The second key truth is, and this is a hard one for a lot of us to get at first, it's okay to hurt someone and it's okay to hurt a relationship, but it's not okay to harm someone or harm a relationship. Think about it in terms of going to the gym, right? When you go to the gym, it's okay if your muscles hurt. That's part of the whole point of going to the gym, but it's not okay to harm them, right? You expect to put stress on them. You expect to experience pain, and that's a completely different thing from harming a muscle in the way that's damaging to it. It's okay to put stress on someone or stress on a relationship. It's okay to cause someone pain, and that happens quite a bit. If you set a boundary with someone, they're going to experience some discomfort and pain. Just know that's a different thing from harming someone, and that's okay. The third key idea is this. In healthy relationships, it is important to create and protect equal value at all times. Both people in the relationship always have equal value. So don't slide into this thinking of, well, they're in so much pain, we'll treat them like they're valuable and important now, and my value can go down, and then later on my value will come back up. That's not the way healthy relationships work. There's always equal value in relationships. And when you empathize and validate with someone, you're protecting their value. And then when you set boundaries on unhealthy behavior, you're protecting your value. So the empathy and the validation is about them. The boundaries are about you. Both can be true. Both can be important at the same time. Now, this idea about empathizing and validating while at the same time setting boundaries can be a major red flag to look for in relationships. And here is why. Some people will use their emotional pain as leverage so that their behaviors are never called out, right? And sometimes you'll hear someone say something like, well, you care more about A than you do B, right? You care more about the fact that I was screaming at you and swearing at you. You care more about the fact that I had some beers tonight. You care more about the fact that I'm slamming doors or breaking things than you do about all this trauma that I received or this horrible thing that's happened at work for the past year, right? And so compare what you're setting a boundary around with the pain they've experienced, and it can be a powerful manipulative tool because you look at them both and you think, well, yeah, their pain is a lot worse than this little thing. Maybe I should just put up with it. The lie that's embedded in there is you're only allowed to care about one thing at a time, right? And life is so complex that rarely do we make good choices when we only care about one thing. There's usually several things that we care about in a great decision that we have to take into consideration. And here's why this red flag is so important. It's because you cannot create a healthy relationship with someone who is unwilling to take responsibility for the choices that they make, unwilling to take responsibility for their behavior. And sometimes, we can get caught up in, well, if I just love them enough, things will change. And that never happens. Life doesn't work that way, and you will end up feeling exhausted, resentful, and stuck in a relationship, because in healthy relationships, each person takes responsibility for their choices. And as you set boundaries, please understand, it's not your job to force someone else to respect your boundaries. It's your job to state your boundaries, right? And then what you do is you pay attention to who ignores your boundaries and doesn't care, and you minimize or eliminate those relationships, and you pay attention to who respects your boundaries and who does their best to maintain them, right? We all make mistakes every once in a while, but who is really trying hard to respect your boundaries? Those are relationships that you can lean into. Those are relationships that you can invest in. Now, let me make one big distinction with this. I am not talking about someone who has just gone through trauma or is experiencing trauma, where the trauma is very fresh. When that happens, you would expect more dysregulation with them. You would expect a change in capacity and to be able to deal with the normal things in life. That's okay. I'm talking about someone who leverages trauma from like childhood to continue, drinking too much, driving home drunk, lying, spending too much, whatever it is. Someone who's using an old trauma and pain that they haven't dealt with as an excuse not to change their current behavior. And so you can continue to empathize and validate with someone and at the same time set boundaries on behavior. And the bottom line of why this is so important is because the way life works, you're not going to get what you want out of life. You're not going to get what you need. You're not going to get what's fair. You're not going to get what you deserve. You're not going to get what you earned and worked towards. What you're going to get out of life is what you tolerate. And if you tolerate certain behaviors from people, those are the behaviors you're going to get. So the question I want to challenge you to think about is, are there some behaviors that you have been tolerating that are actually damaging you and damaging your relationship with someone, causing it to be exhausting, causing you maybe to resent them, causing you to feel stuck? Make a list of behaviors that you've been tolerating that really is not healthy for you to tolerate. And once you have those, what I want you to understand is it's your job to set your boundaries. No one else on earth, if you're an adult, no one else on earth is responsible for setting your boundaries for you. It's your job to say, this is what I will accept, and this is what I won't accept. So once you have that list, what I would encourage you to do is practice continuing to listen with empathy and validate But with these things you won't accept, practice also just saying a simple sentence, hey, it sure makes sense. You feel this because of this. Boy, I'd feel the same way too. Hey, I want to let you know though, I am no longer accepting this behavior. Now, for some of you, as you hear that, it's like, oh my goodness, that's like the hardest thing in the world to say. And there's some terror in. So let me suggest two things. The first is, first practice that through visualization. Right, go back to some times where you think, man, I should have set a boundary there, and just practice that. And practice yourself while you're setting the boundary, being aware, I'm doing what's good for both of us, right? I'm doing what's good for both me and my 5-year-old. I'm doing what's good for me and my spouse. I'm protecting the relationship here, even though it's really hard. And secondly, you may need to get a support team around some of this. If you have a really hard time setting boundaries on your mom or dad, or if there's someone in your life where, boy, I just have a hard time setting boundaries and saying no to them, you may have to get a support team to encourage you after you've set the boundary, to let you know everything's going to be okay and you did the right thing. So practice that. Continue practicing, listening with empathy, validating. But are there places where you say, hey, it's okay to be sad, Johnny. It's not okay to hit your sister. It's okay to get angry. It's not okay to break the window, right? Those sorts of things. And practice setting those boundaries. Simple steps, not easy steps, but simple steps. Practice, practice, practice. That's what Heart Tools is all about.